Okay, we're going to look at the element of art called space. This picture here gives you an example of positive versus negative space. In general, space is just the amount of distance between, around, above, or within objects. You can see the two GIFs on this slide here. When you are doing something that is a fairly shallow picture, so there's not a lot of depth, we'll call it negative and positive space. In a picture, this is going to be the illusion of space because it's two-dimensional. But with sculptures or artworks that project out from a solid plane, we actually have actual space. So some things you can actually walk around, interact with, that has real space. Two-dimensional, like photos and drawings and paintings, will have the illusion of space. As I mentioned, the first way we break up space is positive versus negative space. Positive is the part that is inside the thing you are drawing. Negative space is around the subject matter of your picture, everything that is not made up by that original picture. Sometimes it's called positive negative grounds, but you want to always make sure that your negative space is just as much what you look at as your positive space, because your negative space is going to help you shape what your positive space looks like. So what is negative space? If you're looking at the object, again, bring my mouse here, the negative space is everything around. It's within this, so it doesn't fill this in. The scissors don't actually go here, so this, just because it's enclosed doesn't mean it becomes part of the positive space. It's still negative space. It's still a hole you can look through. When you're thinking about things, when you make things a silhouette, it's your negative space. It's really going to tell you what the edges of your object looks like. A lot of comic book people tend to have really good grasps of using negative space just because their images are less detailed and more flat, and they can be a lot more high contrast than you would see in like a photograph. Again, like if you remove the details and you just have that highlight and that shadow, it gives you these really great positive and negative shapes to describe the form. You can intentionally use negative space to help you figure out where your objects are, to make things interact in interesting ways. Here's two examples of negative space in illustration. So this one here, the butterfly is created by the negative space of the fists. And this one down here, you have Batman on one side and the penguin on the other. When you flip it, it flips around to see the two different shapes. So they're kind of together showing you the opposite of them. And it makes sense because one is the villain and one is the hero, so they are actually opposites. Here's some negative space in advertising. So again, this one here, you get the 2 and the 3 are created by the negative space of the rest of the shapes. And over here, you get that bat symbol created by the negative space of the buildings. Again, a lot more. It's used a lot in logos and stuff as well. So the E for electric is made by the edges of the plug. There's also negative space in fine art, so this blend from city to nature. So playing around with what is your negative space and what is your positive space is a fun one. And that's it for space.